gonna start right now.
We're live?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right. Hello, world. Welcome back to Dire, the Do You Even Roll for short. We are a tabletop role-playing game of group of friends. I said that terribly. Welcome back, nevertheless. I'm excited to have everyone here today. Our characters, in the fashion of any good adventure novel, are jumped ahead in our journey, and we have our players on a journey to Meglio, the city where the Baron and the Kingdom of Halflings is messing with us. Actually, I may have that lore wrong. Is Meglio the Kingdom of Halflings, or is the Kingdom of Halflings separate from Meglio?
It's separate from Meglio.
So we are going on a path. We are going on a journey to ask the Baron for help.
Yeah, that's right. Because the halflings have become a problem for almost everybody on the island.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, then we find our adventurers on their quest to Meglio. It is mid-afternoon, and after a tiring trek to get where they are about to approach the fork in the river, and their group decides that it is time to make rest for the day because they are at approximately a quarter to a third of the way there, considering the mountain pass they have to get to the next day, getting over the mountains, and just getting themselves to Meglio. So our players, Sleepy as Gary, Frederick the Tiefling, Shelbatho the Warrior, and Lily the Barbarian, who is a fire genocide, are finding themselves around a campfire, communing and resting after a long hike. The fire is looking a little dim, and you guys are debating how to go about collecting firewood and making the campsite more comfortable. So who's got what duties is the topic of conversation. Um, And to start that off, Gary points out that he thought about this path, so he feels like he shouldn't have to go collect firewood, and he should get to lay here and just veg out. Um, and then he tries to look small, so you guys ignore him after that. So after that outburst, what do you say? What does Frederick say?
Yeah, Frederick goes, whoa there, Gary, what are you doing? What are you doing there?
Trying to rest, man. So Gary, being the cunning person that he is and the gambler, has brought some dice, and he thinks, man, I could probably get out of this if I just think right. So he announces to the whole group, all right, we're going to roll for it, and whoever gets the lowest roll has to go collect firewood and do cooking tonight. Does that seem fair? And he gestures to the rest of you. So Lily the Barbarian and Frederick and Shelbatha, how are you responding?
Shelbatha will say, that sounds like some bullshit. We should arm wrestle to see who goes.
Well, arm wrestling wouldn't be fair, and if we end up fighting, I think we're just going to end up hurting ourselves. We just started this journey.
Wait, are you playing your character?
Yeah, Gary is here, Lily is here, Shelbatha, and Frederick, and we're just a party of 4 for now. Yep. I kind of use my character, so it's like 3 players still. I guess it's like 4 since Colton's holding on to 2, but
Yeah.
it's all good practice. What says you, Lily? Do you agree to rolling instead of arm wrestling to decide the fate of who has to do chores at the campsite tonight?
I'm a barbarian.
You're a barbarian is a title. You're a fire genocide. You're
I
like a
think
genie.
I'm gonna pass.
On arm wrestling? Okay. Well, that is unless Frederick votes for arm wrestling and we're at a flat tie, I don't know what to do.
Frederick is gonna go for arm wrestling. I mean, not arm wrestling, dice rolling. Because
Gary is very happy about that. He really wants to get out of doing any chores, and he's really glad that nobody pointed out that they can have a schedule for this or split up the chores. So roll 2d4, and whoever has the lowest roll has to set out and collect firewood. It's not d4s, 2d6s.
Okay.
Lily rolls first, and she gets a 7. Gary takes the dice and rolls, and he gets a 10, and he goes, yes!
I don't know how to do it in there, so the first one's gonna be Frederick. Frederick. He gets a 12, and he doesn't celebrate very much. He's just like, yes, good. Then Tabitha rolls, and she gets an 11, and she's like, well, that was kind of lame. I still think we should have arm wrestled for that.
Well, if you'd like to arm wrestle Lily, you can do it another time. But it seems that Lily has to set out to go collect more firewood, so our campfire keeps going all night. So, Lily, being a diligent comrade that she is, sets out to I'm going to say the east of us. As the map is oriented, it seems about east. But you set out into the woods. I am going to roll a perception check.
For me?
Yes. Birds are chirping. It's a nice day. The sun is just at its peak, and nobody wants to be out doing anything. And I'm sure you're not happy about having to grab the firewood. All right, perception check is a 16. So as you're gathering some firewood, you feel like there's more of a presence around you than just birds. You feel like you have eyes on you. What would you like to do?
So, like, are these bushes or something?
Oh, they're trees. These are trees. This is like a walking path, and this is the river that we're following. And this is our campsite down in the corner.
What if I just, like, flamethrow all the trees around me?
I don't know if starting a forest fire is advisable. We're in the forest we're in.
Okay. I produce a flame and, like, scream, show yourself, I can hear you. And I can do an intimidation check to see if they come out. Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah. All right. Intimidation. So you rolled a 12. I don't have a character. So you roll a 12, and out of towards away from your camp, you hear a raspy, "No, put that flame out! What are you doing? It's a dry season. How could you?"
I let down my flame and go investigate.
All right. Well, you walk towards the clearing, and in the middle of the clearing, walking towards you, you see an elderly man. He has a long gray beard, kind of a hunched, and you're kind of surprised to see him out here alone. And he looks angry that you have fire in this tender, riddled area. And he once again asks, "What are you up to? Why are you trying to burn down the woods?"
Tell them that I'm not trying to burn them, but I'm tired of fighting people, so I'm just trying to live my best. And I asked who he is and what he's doing.
"Well, I came to warn your party. I saw the smoke in the distance, and I needed to come warn your party that this is not the area to camp in." There are bears around. I need to talk to your group.
Like, well, we fight polar bears before, so I think we'll be okay.
Fighting polar bears, you say? Tell me more.
Mm, I say, no thanks. I'm gonna go talk to my group now. And I so they can't group.
Okay.
Did you want me to continue this conversation?
No, you don't have to.
No
I want to
added.
see no added value. Well, as you come back and are briefing the group, the old man I don't know if you noticed the old man following you, but he follows you to the group and is in the outskirts and just stumbling into the clearing as you're describing the encounter you just had. So Frederick, an old man has just burst in that Lily is describing, and I'm going to say that you decide to take the initiative to greet him. What do you say?
Yeah, Frederick looks at this old man who he doesn't know, right?
Yeah, he doesn't know. He just knows that Lily said she met a stranger and that he had some bullshit.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna say, hey man, you just hold off right there. All right. Take one step closer, and I'm gonna blast you with something. Shall I roll for intimidation there?
No. No roll for intimidation needed for that one. The old man puts his hands up and he goes, "Oh no! Oh no! What is up with your group? Why are you so violent? I saw smoke and wanted to warn you of the bears. And as I walk up, I see her pointing at Lily and angrily staring, trying to set the whole forest on fire."
I flare my nostrils at him. Say, listen, we have been through literal shit. We are just trying to defend our campsite. If you have anything helpful to say it or leave.
Well, you said you fought polar bears, right? And then Gary says, "Yeah, we've fought a few." And the old man says, "Well, my name's Jerry, and I speak for the trees. I live in this area, and used to have a beautiful cow and beautiful livestock, but they're no more because of this bear. Would you kind adventurers accompany me and get? I I happen to have a wide range of skills in blacksmithing as well. If you have any weapons, and there's some longbows back at my place. Could I hire your group to hunt down this bear?"
Shabbatha says, now let me get this straight. You came to warn us about dangers out here, and now you're hiring us to go into even more danger?
Well, you obviously seem well equipped. Look at how many javelins are on your back.
Yeah, well, maybe you should have warned the bears about us.
Maybe. But I don't want to get eaten by a bear, and I just want this bear dead.
Um,
What will it take to have you be my mercenaries?
I ask, what do you have to offer? Anything but big.
Well, I hadn't thought that far ahead. I would offer you lots of cheese products, but my cow passed away.
I say we don't risk our lives for free.
I'll see how much gold I have around my house, and I can give you some helpful tips and a treasure map as well.
Frederick wants, he says he wants a moment alone with the party, and asks the old man to step away for just a second.
That's okay. I'll go catch up with my favorite juniper over here. And the old man steps off to the other side of the path.
All right, and Frederick asks the party, what do y'all think? Um, I think brown bears are an essential part of the ecosystem. They are needed, just to help 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 everything. I don't think we should kill it.
Well, Gary says that's fair. That's completely fair. And it's just the natural order of things. But I mean, I do feel bad for his cow. As a natural animal empathizer, Gary starts to think of his very friendly llama neighbors.
Shelbitha will say, I'm all ready for a battle. I think we should kill it, skin it, and make a coat out of it.
I've always wanted a bear claw necklace. Have you seen how big their claws are? Gary just kind of like makes hook hands.
And Frederick will ask, so what is? Let's take a vote. I say no.
Gary says yes.
Shelbitha will say yes.
And everyone, the whole party looks to Lily. Do you want to kill a bear today?
I say I'm kind of tired. I could take it or leave it. Let's see what he has to offer.
And Gary beckons, "Old man, old man!" From like 50 yards away, he yells back, "My name's Gary!" And he comes back up. And Gary translates for Lily, knowing that she doesn't have the diplomacy for this, and says, "Well, we'd like to see what kind of gold you actually have to offer, or this treasure map. So, could you take us to your shack?" And Gary says, "Of course. How else would you get the longbows? You don't want to get close with a bear like that." and yeah, he starts toddling up the path. Are you guys ready to follow him?
Yep, both Shelbitha and Frederick say at the same time. And Shelbitha says, Jinx, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Frederick catches her at 6.
I like how you say Jinx for people that are talking. You are talking for. Beautiful game. Alright, well, I'm moving our characters over to progress. So, Jerry walks the party down the path. Oh, stop moving. Oh, my. D&D works kind of. Roll20 works kind of weird sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Can the old man teleport? Asks Frederick.
I was gonna say that he seems a little spry for how not how feeble he looked coming up. Oh my god, why are you like this? I can't move his token without moving on the map, like the whole map moving itself.
Oh, I can fix that. I think you have your map on the token layer. If it's on the map layer, it won't interact when you're on the token layer. When you're selecting stuff on the token layer.
No, I have the. Oh, I messed with my map. This is really weird.
Yeah, they're all on map layer.
Yeah, and I just messed with my map too.
That is very easy to do.
Okay, he finally worked. I don't know what undid it. Okay, well, the old man crosses a bridge. Well, you pass the first bridge that's leading to the path you wanted, and you continue down the river and in the corner, and you see a bridge to that crosses over to the middle ground um, between the forked river, and the party follows. And the old man comes over and he looks at a patch of a field of mushrooms growing, and he says, "Wow, they're doing great this season." And he plucks one up and gobbles it up and says, "Don't eat it if you aren't in for a good time." And he starts skipping away.
Frederick will take one.
Gary takes one and pockets it. Takes a few big ones and pockets them for later.
And Shabbatha will do the same, thinking that she'll be able to sell them for another javelin.
More javelins. So Jerry leads you all through the forest, and like I said, he's acting surprisingly nimble for a man of his years. To the point where he just kind of keeps going ahead of you guys, and you can't really make heads or tails of the woods because there's no discernible path. It's just a bunch of woods. So it looks like it's just a relatively untouched patch of land, and you're amazed that the old man can survive out here. Oh, I don't know if you're keeping up with me moving around. I just kind of keep moving him up a little bit by a little bit.
I am.
Okay.
Can Frederick do a perception check or investigation check on the old man?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Got a 5. What's that get me?
I got when you're shooting at the silent shotgun.
Jesus. That's frustrating. Okay. Sorry for the intermission. Um, with a 5, you don't notice anything new about the old man. Besides, he keeps surprising you because he's moving way faster than your group is. And he's starting to get uneasy about how deep in the woods you go. And beyond that, you're a little disoriented about the woods. Uh, would you like to do anything else with the characters?
Shabbatha just wants to say that she doesn't have a good feeling about this. I think we should kill this old man and take what he has now.
The old man, Jerry, overhears and says, "Ha! I'd like to see you try!" He runs way ahead. And you follow. You guys, if you're gonna attack him or not, he's just gonna stay ahead of you. So you keep moving forward, and you lose sight of the old man as he runs through a line of trees, and the party is just working to try to catch up. So Gary breaks out first, and he breaks into the clearing, saying, "Everyone keep down," so he could sneak around and see if there's anything suspicious looking. Gary notices that there's an empty animal pen, a tombstone beyond that in the clearing that says Bessie and whatever year it is. And he can see a workshop shack that vaguely reminds him of a blacksmith that he's seen before. And to his right, he just sees a plain old cabin. He doesn't hear the old man or see anything dangerous in sight, so he beckons everybody to just kind of come up and follow him, saying saying out loud that you guys are either going to leave with something or we're going to have a bad time, yo.
Frederick is gonna look at Shelvita and say, "It's it's nonsense about killing this frail old man. Okay, let's just see what he has to offer." And he
The
continues to follow.
With surprisingly good hearing, the old man pops out from behind the tombstone and goes, "Well, I'm glad to see somebody has sense in this group. I was going to give you free weapons. Just promise me to kill that bear." Yeah, and the old man runs over and starts rummaging around, opens the door to what Gary assumed was the blacksmith shop, and starts rummaging around there loudly. You can hear clangs and hammers and cursing, and at some point you start to hear music and you get really confused. Would anyone like to investigate?
Yeah, Frederick wants to check out the tombstone.
Yeah. So Frederick approaches behind the animal pen, and he sees that there. I'm not going to make you roll for that. He just sees that there's a bunch of freshly laid dirt. And it's quite a sizable pile too. So he's kind of confused why he actually buried the cow, or wondered if he actually ate the cow. Just determining Frederick's inner monologue. So doesn't see anything useful other than thinking, "Wow, that looks like it's the size of a cow's grave."
All right, and he's gonna go and tell the rest of the party.
As you tell him that, that's when you guys start to hear music. So Gary's confused, so he starts to walk up to the blacksmith shop to investigate there. And inside, he just sees Jerry with a fiddle, and he's again surprisingly spry for a man his age. And he's playing a fiddle with both hands, and he's kicking around boxes as he's doing it. And Gary is too perplexed at the craftsmanship of the music and the dexterity of this man to even turn around and tell you guys what he's seeing. He's watching Jerry open boxes with his toes and put stuff back up on shelves, not even small boxes. And Gary begins to once he comes to it and he's still watching the man, he turns around and comes back to the group, and he decides to tell you all that he thinks the old man is a god. That man must be mystical.
Nonsense, says Shelvita. I've killed gods before, and he looks nothing like it.
Gary stops in his track and asks, "What?"
It's true. Shelvita says, "In the circus, I killed many gods," hinting at like they aren't real gods, but it's just a show that she had.
Ah. Gary doesn't get that at all, and he goes, "Wow."
Frederick is just gonna roll his eyes, knowing her backstory a little bit.
Well, after about 15 minutes, uh, Jerry comes out, and he's got 4 longbows, 2 in his hands and 2 strapped around his back because he's trying to carry longbows and quivers with it, and he's saying, "Sorry for the trouble. I can't remember where stuff is unless I'm playing music sometimes. So I found a way to do it. I hope you like my song. I wrote it myself." Yeah, and he approaches everybody and he proffers the longbows. Gary happily takes the longbow and says, "Hell yeah, free weapon." Um, and Frederick, Shelbitha, and Lily, do you guys take the longbow or do you refuse?
Yeah, Frederick and Shabbatha will take him. And Frederick doesn't look at it too much, just puts it on his back and thanks the old man. And Shabbatha inspects it thoroughly, going, interesting.
Gary says, "It's a shame our Archer didn't come with us. She would have loved this."
Yeah, but isn't she like 3 feet tall? And how long are these
Um,
bows?
yep.
Frederick asks.
But wouldn't it be hilarious to watch her fire this? She could stand on a rock. I am adding. Mm, while equipping his stuff, Gary decides to ask the blacksmith where he came across the longbows. Or not the blacksmith, he asked Jerry. And Jerry says, "Well, I'm an old man who's done a lot in a lot of different places, so I made these myself with the very trees that I speak for."
It's very
Mm,
interesting, says Shabbatha. And she's gonna look at them closer and asks what they're made of.
wood, dummy.
Well, alright then, she says. And she puts it away and then goes back to draw the javelin and hold that instead.
And if you'd like to add them to there, I was debating if I wanted to do a +1 or +2 longbow. I think I'm going to
Okay.
do a +2 longbow and just not the vicious longbow. Because I was going to say that Jerry is quite a talented craftsman and he made impressive stuff. So everybody is now equipped with a +2 longbow. Sorry, I gotta remove my extra longbow. And Gary just keeps his longbow equipped. Alright.
Which one did you give everyone?
The longbow +2.
Okay.
So, yeah. The vicious one sounds really cool, but I thought maybe we'll just keep it to this.
Okay.
So, after equipping them and giving you a rambly tale about essentially nothing and him saying that he knows a lot of stuff, Jerry says, "Yeah, feel free to come look me up again if you ever have any weapons that need fixing or improving, or if you have cows for sale." Uh, and Gary says, "Well, if I find an orphaned cow, you'll be the first person I think of, Jerry." And Jerry looks so touched, and he starts to get teary-eyed, and he, surprisingly, when he walks slow, he just looks like he's gonna fall over. So still, none of the spryness makes any sense. But he hobbles over to Gary, and he gives him a hug and says, "I hope you mean that."
Shabbatha looks at him and says, I still think we should have just killed him.
Ah, too many people have tried. All right, so Gary says, "So what about the treasure map and the gold?" And Jerry just looks confused. And he says, "Oh, let me go look." And then he goes into his hut. And you hear more music and more clanging. Would anyone like to do anything while you wait?
Yeah, Frederick will go check out. Wants to sneak up there to see what the old man is doing. And why Gary is so surprised in his sprightness.
So, Frederick peeks in the cracked open door, hearing the music, but not even telling what the music was actually doing. Um, and the old man's very focused, so the stealth roll is enough. You have the 8 roll is more than enough to get up there. So
Sweet.
you can see the old man balancing on a ball and holding a small harp while he spins and traverses his whole room. It's just one room cabin, and it's just utterly confusing how this is helping him find the map. But he is not missing a beat or a note. The melody is beautiful and stunning. And Gary comes up behind you and just says, "Wow."
And Frederick will go, I don't know, Gary, maybe you're right. He is some kind of god or something. How's
Right?
he
There's
doing
no
that?
way. There's no way. I can't even balance on a ball whenever it's just me balancing on the ball. This guy. This guy. So you guys get like a 10-minute show. Nothing really changes until all of a sudden he cuts off mid chord and stops dead in place. And he taps the ball 3 times with his foot, and the rug in the middle is a bearskin rug. He's in the middle of it, and the bear's mouth opens, and a scroll map and a baggie that sounds like it's got coins in it. Like the map shoots out, and then right behind it, a bag of coins, and they both land on the floor right in front of it. And the old man says, "Ah, that's where I left it." And he tosses aside the miniature harp and hops down and grabs the map and the sack of gold. And he opens
Shut.
the door and finds Frederick and Gary awestruck at what they just watched and says, "Peeping Toms!" and smacks you both in the face.
Shabbatha goes, well, it's about time. We've been standing out here for over 10 minutes. And she goes to grab the map from him in a rude way.
She pulls the map out of his hand, and he falls over. Instant old man act.
Shabbatha will, Frederick will go and help him up. He's like, sorry about our friend there. She's quite upset today.
He says it's quite all right. I've known the ladies to be quite hot-headed on this island.
And Shabbatha is going to open up the map and look at it.
So on the map, she sees that it shows about the area they're in, and there's a path that shoots off in the opposite direction from Meglio, and it just winds through the forest, and got a couple of landmarks marked, and at the end of it, it says the ruins, and then like it points to them, has a little picture like on its map that says ruins, and it just says, "You will find the answers on the back." And then she flips over the map, and she finds that there's nothing on the back. And what does she do?
She asks Lily, what do you think about this? And shows it to her.
What do you think about the map? That it looks like a legit treasure map, except it says you will find the answers on the back, and it's empty on the back.
Do perception check.
Yeah, you can do an investigation.
Shabbatha goes, this is some bullshit. There's nothing on here.
And then Jerry goes, that's what you think. It's got the answer right on there. You rolled a 9 on your investigation. So you take the map out of Shelbitha's hands, and you look at it, and as far as you can tell, the landmarks and everything are accurate, but you can't tell anything on the back as far as if there was writing or anything. But you suspect that there could be writing there, and say, we'll just have to look at it another time. Brief intermission for our viewers. Oh, you don't have to respond. You didn't learn anything new. Do you want to do anything after that? No? Okay. Well,
And
Lily doesn't determine anything new about the map, but she says that she thinks it looks legit.
Frederick asks the old man, how does this work, man? I don't see anything on there.
And the old man says, it's got all the answers you need. You'll just have to go to that location, and you'll figure everything out.
And he goes, alright, very well. Can we keep this before we kill the bear, or do you only give it to us after?
You can have that and all the money right now. You have my complete faith.
You finally said something that I like, says Shelbitha. And she goes, looks at everyone and says, are y'all ready? Let's go kill this bear and get some treasure.
Gary says, I'm absolutely ready, but I have one question. How do we hunt a bear? We've only ever been attacked by the bear or seen dead bears. So, anybody got any ideas?
Both Frederick and Shelbitha are gonna rummage through their inventory and looking for ideas.
While you guys rummage through your stuff, Gary ponders about it and thinks, well, are we bait? Do we put out bait? Is dead bait better than us? What do we know about bears?
Shelbitha will say that it's gonna tell a quick story about how in the circus she used to play in this act where they were hunting a bear, and what they would do is dress someone up in a bear costume as bait, either uh, a big bear or a small bear, depending on what they're hunting. And then when the real bear came in, they would surprise it and take it down.
Wow. What an act. I have a question, though. If we have people in this world that can transform into a bear, why do you have a person in a bear disguise instead of hiring someone like Frederick here?
Well, I was just Shabbatiko's. I just was telling you about how it worked in the circus. We could do something like that. I don't know.
Well, no offense meant by my question. I was just wondering. If you ever go back to the circus, I would absolutely recommend you bring these improvements to them.
She asked Frederick if he would be comfortable with being bait for a bear.
Yeah, and Gary chimes in and be like, "You'd be the perfect bait. You could do anything you want. You could be like a nice female bear and attract him, or you could be like just like a deer or something. Like whatever you're feeling, man, you're up to it."
Yeah, Frederick will go very well. I shall seduce this bear, and then we shall kill it.
Gonna seduce the bear. Lovely. All right. Well, the adventurers are ready to set off. Um, I was gonna suggest that since we're on a mission for our town, that we all have like a health pack on us because they gave us supplies. So like other than like necessary food and stuff, we got like healing supplies on us just on hand. I know this is very late into the session, but just in case we're like drastically hurt later.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Man, I'm upsetty spaghetti about me accidentally moving. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, so I moved us down a little bit. So the party starts trekking back down the loose forest that they walked up in because Jerry informed them that the only bridge to this section was the one we crossed over. And Jerry had gave you instructions that the last place the bear had been seen was a little north of where we had been planning to camp on the other side of the river up from us. So uh, we just kind of start heading back that way. While we're walking through the forest, did anyone have any ideas or anything they wanted to do? No setting stuff on fire yet.
No, Frederick is just gonna walk along, making some bird calls with his hands, and it appears like he's just talking to the forest.
Sounds wonderful. So yeah, the group just keeps on moving. So you guys make it out to the clearing. You keep on going, and you cross. I kind of do it like little points, just to make sure I don't like make you have to go and find it. Would you prefer me do that, or does it matter how I move the people around?
No, it doesn't matter. I'll try and follow him.
Okay, well, cross one bridge and keep up the path, and you end up crossing the bridge you originally planned and walking up the path that you had thought, or that you're supposed to take to go continue on your way towards Meglio. Gary suggests that they set out in a pattern, and he draws it out in the sand, and he's very convincing to everybody to in this bait scenario. So Frederick trans they all get into position before Frederick transforms, just so that they're ready to help protect. and they essentially form like a I don't even know what to call it. They kind of get on all sides of Frederick, just within range, just so that they can be ready to help, but also far enough away that the bear wouldn't notice them and would focus on the meat, on whatever Frederick turns into. So, with everyone in position, Gary attempts to make a bird call to let Frederick know that everybody should be ready. But it's not very good, and it's just like he's blowing raspberries. Um, but like he does it really loud. So what does Frederick transform into?
Frederick was actually not gonna transform yet. But he will hold the bow at ready.
Wow. Okay. So with that, then everyone shifts back, like noticing that Frederick isn't going to transform quite yet. We shift into a diamond kind of flank. Well, the shovel doesn't really need to be behind. We make like a line, just so we're ready to attack that bear any way it comes at us. So, who would like to do the investigation roll? I'm gonna start with Gary.
Okay.
Gary gets really low. He gets a 6. All I can notice is that you're in forest. There's a lot of noises, and he starts to think that if he were a bear, this is definitely a part of the forest he would hang out in. Frederick, roll for investigation.
He gets a 21.
Wow. Okay, so Frederick in the lead can really see around, and as he can talk to the forest, has gotten a lot more information than anyone else has.
What?
We're leaving.
Okay.
We're going to Janet Lakes.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Also, hi. I guess you can't hear me.
No, she cannot.
Oh, you can. You have like, are those like gun range headphones?
No, they are work headphones, so I'm sure they'd work for the gun range, but they're just soundproof work headphones with Bluetooth speakers in them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to interrupt. Not for tech talk. Okay. With the high investigation roll and the in tuneness with the forest, you can see that this is definitely bear territory. You can see scratch marks on a lot of trees. You can see bear fur hanging out of bark, and you can just the wide assortment of clues that you're zeroing in on. Bear likes to hang out. But you don't hear or see the bear. Mm. Oh, you're creating a bear. Okay.
Um,
I wonder why it does it twice. Like it
Me
does it
too.
as. I think it's because you do it as you as the GM and then as Colton the player. Well, Lily rolls for investigation as we all move forward throughout the forest. And she sees a lot of the same signs that Frederick does. Claw marks on trees, fur. And she definitely knows because Lily kicks a pile of bear droppings and says, "Yeah, guys, I think we're close."
And Shabata looks at that and just shakes her head like that's disgusting. You gotta look out for that.
Gary is lost in his head, not seeing all the signs of the bears, and decides to pull out a snack. Um, and he unwraps his cheese and starts eating as he's wandering and admiring all the pretty lights and leaves and just the general atmosphere of the forest. Um, yeah, and come on, sorry about that. Gary is completely oblivious, and the smell of his food and the sound of him attracts the bear, and it gets closer. Nobody's noticing the bear yet. Gary's actually ending up being the closest one as we all move forward throughout the forest, and you all see signs of bear territory. Um, and the bear smells food. Would anyone like to roll for investigation or perception right now? Gary just rolled for perception, and he is oblivious.
Yeah, Shelby will do a perception check for tracks or sounds, trying to see if the bear's anywhere nearby. And
She is
there
the
we
leading
go.
bear.
She gets 6.
Well, she does not hear any sounds. She doesn't hear or see anything other than the leavings of bear, so no other new signs. Um, she does notice that Gary is eating now and thinks, wow, that is a terrible time for that. Calls out to Gary, saying, put that away. Gary remembers he's on a hunt and finishes his cheese instead of putting it away because he's hungry.
And Frederick is gonna take a few steps forward and do a perception check as well.
I kind of forget to ask if we want to move, and I just didn't kind of moving us along. Yeah. So what's the perception check give?
Let me roll that. He got a 17.
Well, that's perfect. So as you step forward and you get slightly ahead of Sleepy Gary, you notice that the odors of bear are becoming more pungent and less like leavings and more like bear present. So the hairs on the back of your Frederick's neck start to stand up, and you can, beyond smelling the bear, you start to look around, and just beyond the few rows of trees, you see a moving mass of brown fur lumbering along, not very well hidden at all, and you're surprised that Gary had not seen it yet.
Can I whisper to Gary anything?
Yeah, sure. You can whisper. Well, do a stealth roll when you whisper.
Okay. So Frederick is gonna whisper. Okay. Hey man, I think that's a bear over there. We should. I think that's it right there. Do you see it?
Uh,
And he got an 11.
That's enough to get his whisper by.
Cool.
I'm gonna roll. Gary rolled a 4. It's not enough. Gary goes, what? And snaps and looks and sees the bear. And he yelps, what? And finally pops to and sees the bear. And his yelp alerts the bear, finally, that there is life there, if the bear hadn't noticed. And the bear stops and gets up on his hind legs and roars. Is there an initiative roll for the monster?
Let me check. Yep, there is.
We'll take the ones rolled as GM, I guess. Alright. Well, the brown bear. Gary rolls 10. Alright. He rolls a 13. What does Frederick and Shelbitha roll? Alright, Frederick's definitely winning. Okay, finally it updated. But not with the right numbers. But that's whatever.
What did Gary get?
Gary got a 10, so that one's right. Lily got a 13. So that one confused me.
What's so confusing?
Oh, when it popped up in the turn order on our campaign, it updated right now. It just it auto-populates our turn order for this, based on our rolls in D&D Beyond. So it just didn't have your number right. All right, Frederick has the first initiative. So what do you do?
He's going to. He wishes that he knew how to talk to animals so that he could try and persuade this bear to leave the area, but he doesn't. So
Does the bear monster tell us what level it is?
it does not. It's more. I think D&D's system of difficulty is the difficulty class or something. So a bear is always going to be the same difficulty. It's going to be hard for lower level players to defeat it, but then there are going to be a lot of harder, more difficult creatures as players level up because they're able to do more damage and whatnot. So Frederick is going to cast Druidcraft, which is going to create a faint odor of skunk that is going to surround the bear and see if that makes him go away.
The bear begins pawing at his nose. And he goes like, rah, rah, and just kind of stomps around. But he's still pretty intense that you guys are there, so he doesn't back down or go away. Because the bear doesn't recognize that you caused the scent, and he's like, I don't see a skunk, but that's terrible.
Alright, and Shelbitha is going to say screw this, and is she close enough to attack, or will that take 2 turns?
She throws javelins, so I feel like she's close enough to move and then toss a javelin. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll say yes as well. So she's going to run up at the same level as Gary and Frederick and throw a javelin. Got a 24 to hit, which I'm sure hits the bear. But I'll double check.
His armor class is 11, so it definitely hits.
Yeah.
So in that case, she's got to roll for damage. Oh, okay, piercing damage of 10. Okay. Cool. So the bear's down. Not like dead. Sorry, he's down 10.
And then Lily is out.
I don't know. I was deciding what to do. You are up. We are facing a bear. Would you like to move and throw? And you have a longbow now that you were given, or you can throw fire, or you could not engage the bear. Yeah, we're fighting the bear. Yeah. It's just like taking a load off over there.
Just like go take a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try the. Wait. What are my stats on precision and shooting? Is that a thing?
It's not like a stats thing. For this, I would just it's like roll to hit essentially.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Let me get your bow equipped. One bow. So you had to move to an equidistant, and you were pretty far away. Like you were on the right side. So you moved closer until you thought it was okay for a shot, and you went for a shot. And I'm having you roll at disadvantage for roll to hit. And taking the lowest, you rolled a 6. So you did not hit the. Yeah. So, and now it's Sleepy Gary's turn. Do I like click a button for whenever it goes?
You have to hit the arrow.
Okay. Well, my longbow to hit for Lily didn't roll. Anyways, Gary coming out of his stunnedness after you all go for attacking the bear, he thinks of his animal friendship ability, and he says, in his head, he says, "Oh shit, the thing doesn't work if you attack the animal." Wait. Actually, what I'm gonna say for the comical effect here is, let's get to my spells. Sorry. Sleepy Gary cast Animal Friendship, but it should pop up in the thing. Okay, here's the tagline is: the spell lets you convince a beast that you mean it no harm. Choose a beast that you can see within range. It must see and hear you. If the beast's intelligence is 4 or higher, the spell fails. Otherwise, the beast must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or be charmed by you for the spell's duration. If you or one of your companions harms the target, the spell ends. So, this actually doesn't mean I can't do it, I guess. It just means that if we further harm it, the spell won't be doing any good. And considering we're in battle and can't talk about it with you guys, is scaring the bear doing it harm?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, now that I've had a little time to think about it, Gary, after you guys have already started attacking it and thinking about the promise and the payment, Gary feels obliged to kill the bear and not befriend the bear. So he does not cast animal friendship in his mind, deciding to leave that tidbit tucked away for another day and not tell any of you for now. And he fires off a round from his longbow. My apologies for any indecisiveness. I just wanted to think that out.
It's all good.
And Gary rolled a 9. I kind of forget on this. And are we trying to beat their armor class number?
Yeah,
Or
to be able to hit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Gary fires off a round, but he's not accustomed to that longbow at all. And the thing goes a little slow, and the bear just swats the shit out of that arrow. It's pretty pissed. So now it's the bear's turn, but it is like, let me measure. The bear is 15 feet, so he's out of range for any of his attacks, so he'd have to move, and we could run away. We are holding our distance at this point. Not saying we have to hold our distance, but I'm just saying, like, we've held the distance to try to attack the bear from right now. So, the bear would probably run at us to try to do that, but I feel like we'll be able to react and get out of it.
Hopefully.
Okay, yeah, so the bear runs at us, and attempts to go for, like, it runs and goes to bite. So I guess we're going to do dexterity rolls to see if we get out of the way or not. Does that sound good?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So do a dexterity roll for both of the characters you control, and I'm going to do one. I'm going to say Lily is clear since she's the furthest away, and we just targeted the cluster. All right. And then will you roll? Does the bear have a dexterity roll that it can do?
Um, Yep.
Cool. All right, we all beat it. So yeah, the bear reaches the center trying to lunge and bite, but we all run out of the way. We scatter. So I'm going to say Gary scatters towards the river while Shelbitha and Frederick dive away. So here we are, 1 pissed off bears and 4 adventurers. And it is not making sense to me that it's Sleepy Gary's turn. Because it's not his turn. It's Frederick's turn. Okay, Frederick, what would you like to do?
Alright, Frederick is going to be his adrenaline is going, but he's going to cast a spell called Mold Earth. And so he's going to choose a portion of dirt or stone that you can see within range that fits in a 5-foot cube. And I'm just going to make a bear shape that is ready for the bear to try and convince him that we just created a bear for him to fight with.
So there's a bear out of dirt.
Yep.
But it's not like animated. It's just like a bear statue, essentially.
Yeah, out of dirt and stone.
All right. Well, I say the bear is thoroughly convinced. I'm not even gonna do a wisdom roll. The bear is fully convinced that there's a full-on bear, and it rears up and roars. I like your drawing.
Thank you.
All right, that is Shelbus's turn.
I guess Shabbatha will take the opportunity to attack. And she's gonna get the bow that the old man gave her a shot and see if she can hit him.
Hell yeah! Roll the hit.
She gets a 10. Which is not high enough. So her shot goes just askew and completely misses the bear.
I'm gonna say, like, completely misses hitting the body of the bear, but he's so fluffy that it hits the fluff. It just goes straight through the fur without doing any damage.
Okay.
You can see some hairs just fly off of it.
Man.
Now it's Lily's turn. The bear is distracted with a statue of a bear. So you have a pretty good chance of trying to hit it. And you are on its blind side, so I'm going to have you roll to advantage too. So would you like to fire an arrow, or would you like to fire? All right, she produces flame and throws it at that bitch. All right, she is lands a 16, more than high enough to get the. Oh, actually, best of two. She rolls a 19, which again is definitely high enough. And I'm actually gonna redo that roll of damage since I got. Wait, if I'm rolling to advantage, do you roll to advantage with the damage roll too?
I guess so. Why not?
Okay, well then she does 4 points of damage. So the bear is down to, yeah. All right, now it's Gary's turn. So Gary takes another swing at it with the longbow, thinking that he did better, and he rolls a 14. So he is able to land a shot on the bear, and the longbow of +2, plus his modifier makes 8 points of damage. So the bear is now down to less than half. Buddy, doing it.
Great
bear
shot,
looks-
says Frederick.
Thanks. I practiced. Gary lied. And yeah, it's the bear's turn. The bear's intelligence is really low, and he's very annoyed that he's being attacked and gouged this bad. But he's still not put it together that the statue of the bear is not a bear. Yeah, I don't. The thing lasts for 1 hour, so I'm gonna say on this turn the bear swats the head of the dirt bear, trying to move on from it, and the head of the statue bear just crumbles because it's dirt. And then the bear thinks that it won, but the body's still standing, so it's a little confused. But it's like, okay, this is not a real bear. This is just the way we were spread out as we were scanning the forest for the bear. Oh, at the bottom of this list? Oh, no, this is just the turn order. So the bear just went and he destroyed the statue of the bear. And now it's like you'll be at the top. It's almost your turn again. So now it's Frederick. So Frederick, what's your move?
He's gonna do another spell. Let's see.
Hey, Sydney.
I think it's called Thunder Wave. Let me look at it. And the bear needs to make an 11 Constitution saving roll. Otherwise, it takes 15 points of damage.
You're gonna kill the shit out of that bear.
Isn't that the idea? Oh, Constitution. Okay. So he didn't make the save, and he takes 15 points of damage.
Well, the bear only had 12, so the bear's dead. That was a vital blow. Yeah. You shake that. There, you got the description. A wave of thunderous force sweeps out from Frederick, and the thunderous wave hits the bear and knocks it over. And in its weakened health, its heart gives out. You can see the life fade from the bear.
Frederick goes, take that, beast. I tried to save you, but you're just too angry. You're an angry bear.
Gary pipes up, yeah, bad bear.
And Shabbatha goes, well, guys, do we have to take the body back, or what? Or do we just tell old man that we've taken care of it? And she's gonna go in and take a few bear teeth and just rip out a few of the claws and make a necklace to wear.
Gary asks her if she'll make him some of those too.
Yeah, I guess. There's plenty of claws on this bear.
And Gary says, yeah, I'm not really sure. We have all the money in payment, so we don't even have to go back. He seemed like he trusted us. And as you guys are talking, there's a light breeze in the air. The scent of the mushroom fields that you were in just wafts over you. For some reason, all of you can tell that it's the mushrooms. And on the wind, you hear a soft chuckle, and you hear, "Ha ha! You don't have to worry. Thank you for your service." And it's just like a whisper, and you know it's the old man's voice. And you'll all stop and look around, but there's nothing around you, and you know that he is not around you.
Frederick goes, well, that was creepy. I think there's something more to this old man that we should take a look at someday.
Gary says, yeah, someday. This was a really eventful evening, so maybe we should go to bed soon. Now that the bear is dead, it should be safe. Oh,
yeah, maybe that's what the old man wanted us to think, says Shabbatha. I still think we should go take him out.
Oh, you killed it. Cool. Maybe some other time. He gave us money and a treasure map. I think we can let him go, says Gary.
And Frederick goes, yeah, okay, he didn't seem too bad. Shut with that, just let's leave him alone. And then Frederick asks Gary what time it is.
Gary says, looks at the sun and says, I have no idea.
So should we set camp up, or continue our journey here?
I think we should go back to our campfire that we had, and we'll continue our journey after we sleep. And as far as my DMing goes, the bear encounter was all I had planned. Dang good chunk of time trying to do all that. So,
Yeah.
That wraps it up for me. Like, I feel like that takes care of like the way you talked about the last plan for the sessions, like which I had other thoughts on too. By the way,
I'd
I'm
love to
doing
hear.
Oh, what'd you say?
I'd love to hear.